Hello to all my friends celebrating a decade of outstanding work at the Minnesota Women's Business Development Center. I think you know I would much rather be there with you in person, but there's just a few things going on in Washington right now, if you didn't notice, and so I'm honored to join you via video. I know you have a terrific group of women leaders gathered there tonight with entrepreneurs, business owners, and local leaders from across our state. Thank you for everything you're doing to strengthen our economy and make the dream of entrepreneurship a reality for so many Minnesota women. 1 in 4 Minnesota businesses are now women-owned. This is great progress, and it says a lot about the impact of organizations like WBDC in Minnesota. At companies both big and small, Minnesota women are making tremendous inroads. I think of trailblazing CEOs like Sally Smith at Buffalo Wild Wings, Mary Brainerd with Health Partners, Trudy Rautillo at the Carlson Companies. I also think of the small and mid-sized companies with women at the helm. Jennifer Guarino at J.W. Hume at St. Paul, a leather goods maker I visited in September. It was so much fun to see what she's doing. Or the Tappaney sisters at Wyoming Machine in Stacy, Minnesota. If you would see these two women in their very cool clothes walking that manufacturing floor with all the welders and tool and die guys, it's a sight to be seen. They are making things and they're exporting to the world. These are just a few of my own examples of women changing the game in Minnesota businesses, and they reflect growing trends at the national level too. The Fortune 500 now has a record number of 20 women CEOs. I don't think it's enough, but I will tell you one thing. It's kind of an interesting coincidence considering we now have a record number 20 women in the U.S. Senate. In fact, finally, for the first time in United States history, we had a traffic jam in the Senate women's bathroom. From the Fortune 500 boardrooms to the halls of Congress, we are breaking new barriers every day. But in the world of entrepreneurship, it's not always easy for women to take things to the next level. In fact, the vast majority of women-owned firms in Minnesota are still just one-woman shows. Only 12% have paid employees. This is why your work is so critical. You're providing vital resources for women at all stages of business development, from the certification process to writing a business plan to competing for contracts. This is about empowering women, but it's also about promoting business growth and moving our economy forward. Small businesses of all kinds are the engine that keeps Minnesota running. As chair of the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Competitiveness, Innovation, and Export Promotion, and as the new Senate chair of the Joint Economic Committee, one of my biggest focuses has been creating an environment in which businesses can start up and grow. I believe we need to be doing everything we can to get our economy back to brass tacks, and I've been working in the Senate to build an innovation agenda for America, a competitive agenda that increases the emphasis on entrepreneurship so that more small firms can access the capital to grow and expand. A competitive agenda also means ramping up our exports to help businesses of all sizes reach the 95% of the world customers who live outside our borders. It means bringing down our debt in a balanced way with targeted cuts but also with revenue. Stop the brinkmanship and the gridlock. People shouldn't be standing in opposite corners of the boxing room throwing swings. They should be getting together and getting this done. And I can tell you, if we had a few more women in the Senate, it'd be a lot easier. A competitive agenda also means cutting unnecessary red tape at our regulatory agencies and reforming our tax code to provide greater clarity and consistency. And finally, it calls for an education system that prepares students for the jobs of today, that trains them to do the kind of high-wage, high-skill positions that are open at businesses all across Minnesota. If we've learned anything from the economic turmoil of the last few years, it's that America can no longer afford to be a country that just churns money around on Wall Street. What we need to be now is a country that thinks, that invents, that makes things, that exports to the world. This begins with innovation, with entrepreneurship, and with small business owners like the ones you've helped get off the ground. Thank you for everything you're doing to empower women in Minnesota and strengthen our economy. A toast to you, budget cuts, Senate water in a plastic cup. Keep up the good work. Have a great time tonight.